Fitment, like the room on the Elantra N is much better than the Veloster. I'm very happy to see. Hello, it's Wilwood Racing. In this video, I'll be test fitting some parts from my Veloster N on the Elantra N. One of them is going to be my SuperSpeed wheels. There are forged wheels that I use during my track season with the Veloster N. I'll start with the wheels first, and then after that, I'll continue and see if I can do the brakes later. Quickly interrupt, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, definitely do. I do a lot of Elantra N. I used to do Veloster N posts. If you want to see more of that stuff, definitely subscribe, like this video. I'm trying to post more stuff and document more stuff with the Elantra N. I didn't do too much with the Veloster N because, to be honest, I was a little bit burnt out at some point and just didn't have time with a kid. Now I have a second kid, so I have less time, but hopefully I'll be able to document some stuff. I'm shooting a lot of stuff on my phone, so I can do it quicker. Also, I have a 6th element code, Umarov, that you can save 5% off on your orders. Any 6th order, I also get a kickback from that. So you'll be supporting me. I'll post a link in the description. Let's resume with the video. All right, so I put in one set of my 200 treadwear tires. These are the RE-71RS 245/40 R18 on 9.5 wheel. This is an 18 by 9.5 plus 38. To run this setup with the Veloster, it was tricky. Had to roll the fenders, run a lot of camber arms in the rear, coilovers in the front. It was tricky. I had to run shorter spring and all the other stuff. It was a lot of trial and error. It looks like with the Elantra N, right now it's on the air, you can see it pokes out a lot. I think running camber bolts will definitely help, but the Elantra N is that I don't have to run a spacer pretty much. There's a lot of room to the suspension, especially to the stock suspension. So if I can find a way to run a decent amount of camber, I'll try running camber bolts. I don't know if it will help, but running coilovers in the front will help. I'll need to work with Fortune Auto to develop a kind of like the strut mount that has the same amount of space as stock. If they can create that, that will be awesome. They'll provide a ton of clearance for front end. So if you can run a good amount of camber and have the camber be tucked from the top, then you could possibly run a 10-inch wheel and run 265, and that would be just absolutely ideal. In the rear, doesn't look too bad. Spacing to the suspension is obviously less. Here you can see it poking out. The stock camber alignment only allows it to push from the bottom, right? So this will tuck in this way. The top of the wheel is still going to be the same, but they will change the angle of attack, right? Already flat rolled here. Yeah, so let's go under the car. I'm gonna just pause the video really quickly to see the space for a 9.5 wheel plus 38, see how much space there is to the stock suspension. This is also with full droop. I think wheel in the rear is closer to the suspension at full droop than at right height. I know the rear, since it's a multi-link, it gains camber on compression, so it's not as bad here. We might get away maybe some minor rubbing, but in the front, it's a lot more worse. So the reason why I'm trying these out first is my second set is the Nankang CRS. They're also 245, but their width is same as a 255 RE-71RS. So it makes things obviously a little bit more tricky. So I'm gonna again go under the car and show the different angle. Set up my creeper with the flash on the phone. Gonna be a little bit janky, but you can see that there's more room here. So there's one thing we could possibly do is running camber arms and adjustable camber arms. That will allow me to tuck in the top, but you can see it will push me closer to the suspension. The sleeve here, the actual suspension is thick as the actual the metal part. That sleeve has the protection for the bump stop and the shock itself. So worst case, we'll just rub against that and it might possibly just break that. So one option is in the future, if I run a coilover, just kind of maintain the same kind of angle. See if I can possibly run a shorter shock. I'm not sure. Let me increase the ISO a little bit so that we can see that. Here we go. So that's the spacing. I think it's not too bad. Here you can see from this angle. And here you go on this one. For the front, I just put it onto the zoom lens with the flash as well. You can see there's just a ton of room to the suspension. So you could possibly run a higher offset wheel. Again, a lot of people have been running plus 45s. Plus 45 would be perfect here in the front. So plus 45, maybe even a 10-inch wheel could make it work, depending on the suspension. So if with Fortune Auto, if we can create something where it can remain the same width or same distance from the wheel, the suspension itself will be awesome. So kind of create this lower bracket and have the correct offset. That'd be awesome. So that would make things a lot simpler. But overall, right now, I have no worries about the kind of the spacing towards the suspension. It's only the fender right now. Quick updates on the wheel fitment. So I tried RE-71RSs on one side and the Nankangs on the other side. They look decent, but I wanted to go for like a quick drive and to see what it looks like after the suspension settles. Usually when you jack up the car and like let it droop a little bit, the springs are not settled yet. So even if you lower the car, that's not going to be the final ride height. So you want to go drive around a little bit, let the weight transfer, and then things will settle. So I put the Nankangs in the front because they're the wider ones. There used to be my front setup on the Veloster before the incident happened, and then the RE-71RS 245s are in the rear. In the future, I want to match them. I want to put the same tires all around. But for now, I'm just trying to finish the RE-71RSs. I have to say the fitment, like the room on the Elantra N, is much better than the Veloster. I'm very happy to see, even though things are poking. We went for a drive with my buddy. He also brought his Elantra N here. Shivam and Dan also showed up earlier with his Veloster N. So we had like a quick, almost like an N party. So far, fitment looks good. So I'm gonna switch to the rear camera and show you what it looks like. So here we go. This is how it looks like in the front. You can see there is poke, but remember, this is stock camber. I have not put camber bolts. So with camber bolts, that will get closer to the suspension a little bit. That will improve the spacing. It might be enough, might not be enough. We'll see, but I'm hopeful it should be enough. And then in the rear, it actually looks pretty good. There is poke, but again, the on compression, you will still, some of that will improve. Like on compression, the rear will gain some camber, and then plus I can put SPL camber arms to tuck it in. But here you can see, like, as it goes in, the top part of the tire is like inside of the fender. I think one of the grid life rules is that you want your top of the tire needs to be inside. It's barely in there, but it definitely makes it in. Here's another angle in the front. Full lock, no rubbing, nothing. It looks good. So yeah, I'm just happy to report that like things are like just stock suspension. Literally just took out the stock wheels and put these on. I'm very happy. So it looks like I don't need to do much, to be honest. Even like in the rear, I could probably dial some more camber from the bottom and it might be okay. I think on full compression, it might just, it might like rub a little bit, maybe over here, but yeah, a lot of confidence in this. Car looks pretty good so far. So yeah. And in the future, with the extra camber, I might run maybe 255s on these wheels. Right now there's not much stretch. The tire is pretty well supported on the wheel. The 245s are 40 sidewall, same with the rears. They're pretty tall. They're almost like similar to the stock tires as far as like the diameter of the wheel and tire. If I go with 255s, they're 35 sidewall, so they're going to be lower profile. So I could run these in the rear and then run the 255s in the front. Depending on the setup, see how it rotates, I might go that route. If I need more rotation to do like a reverse stagger. If I don't need a reverse stagger, I can run 255s all around, or even 245s. Honestly, like these 245s are pretty adequate. Anyways, just wanted to kind of show the status of some of the fitment on the kind of leftover parts from the Veloster. I'm very happy with the results so far. Like I said, I haven't done any measurements, to be honest, because I don't have a lift and I don't have quick jacks. Based on how things used to look like on my Veloster N, this is much better, to be honest. If you have any questions with this setup, let me know. I can just answer any questions in the comments. If you're in the N community, join the N track group. We have lots of good conversations, a lot of knowledgeable people, a lot of good people there. People are very nice. I'm one of the admins. That's all I have for this video. Today I didn't have energy to do the Wilwoods. Hopefully I'll do those tomorrow. I'll just take like one wheel out in the front, take off the caliper from the knuckle and mount the Wilwood bracket and just do some measurements there. I'm pretty certain it's not gonna fit. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just let me know.